younger of our two sons, and with our older son, we just never faced the sort of situations that we were facing with him. In school, when he was in school, there were problems. We had to put him in NIMHANS. He ran away from there. And then again, when he had gone on a school excursion, there were serious problems. The teachers were also worried. And we knew that there was something, out of the ordinary. We took him to a psychiatrist there for the first time. He was under treatment. But then he was declared free of any problem. And so we even took, the risk of sending him to America, where he was practically on his own, studying for 2 years there and then working for 1 year. But when he came back and he was with us in Bombay working with Times Now, the environment was too hyper challenging for him. It was too stressful, and as a result he began to break, and we just didn't know how to deal with it because he would not see a psychiatrist, he would not submit to any tests, and so on. Finally, when we came back to Bangalore, it was about now 6 years ago, we were able, after some time, to take him to a psychiatrist and have some tests done on him, and then we got a diagnosis for the first time. But then the treatment, the sort of counseling that he required, the type of medication, was not quite right. It was only when we put him in Carabams in November of 2013 that we found that at last, we were in sight of some solution, because Carabams offered everything that was needed in order to come to a proper diagnosis, get the right medication, give him the right type of atmosphere and counseling for over a period of time. It took 4 months, which we are grateful that it was not longer, but even that, of course, was very long for us and for him, because he had never been able to submit to that type of environment and discipline in his life before. It's all worked out very well, and now that he has come out of there, and we're so happy that he's continuing with the medication, and he even wants to continue with the counseling. Of course, he doesn't need it as much as he did before, but he still, we feel, his mother and I do feel, and maybe she should add her inputs about all that I have said.
Yes, certainly Caliban made a big change in him, because earlier we were searching again and again and again, and there were several incidents which sort of took us back to the bottom of the slide, and we would hardly go up and then it would come down again. So Caliban did make a great difference, and I have to say, Ratish, you were really his, I can't say partner in crime at all, but partner, or shall we say, in therapy and in success. I mean, the fact that you were able to be with him sometimes almost 24 hours, which is a big
you
thing.
had just the right amount of empathy that he needed. And the minute that you came on the scene, which was very shortly after he was admitted into Carabams, we could see the tremendous change that had taken place.
Okay, and what do you feel that the family approach, how important the family approach in these kind of people?
That is what I was really going to come to. That is what I liked. First of all, it was a sort of a holistic thing at Carabam. Not only was it the psychiatrist to which we had earlier been exposed to, but here there was a 24-hour program. You were with him most of the time. There was also a clinical psychologist who called him twice a week or thrice a week or whatever it is. So it was a holistic exposure that he had. And though he opposed it a lot and he didn't like staying there
or taking medication,
he realized that he could only get out of Carabam if he was committed to taking medication. And I think one of the biggest plus points is now he realizes that if he doesn't take his medication, he goes right back to Carabam. Yes. Which he doesn't want to. Of course, the other thing was that he had to wait for almost 2 months to get a job. And that was a very frustrating time for him. But I have to say that he weathered that frustration also quite patiently. there were times when he would get annoyed, but not go overboard like he used to before. You know, where the two of us were really at the complete receiving end. Where there was, I won't say harsh violence, but a certain degree of violence. And we couldn't take it anymore. We are in our 70s and we really couldn't take it. And now I feel there is a lot of...
The worst thing was when he used to run out and live on the street because he could not face us or anyone else. And that was something that was completely unacceptable to us. And therefore, even though he had a good job and he was spending his time, during office hours there, we could not accept the fact that after office hours he was out on the street where anything could happen to him. And that was what, made us decide that by force we would have to take him and put him in a place like yours, which would give him, the right sort of environment and discipline, which he needed to get better and get well, which of course, you justified that faith that we put in him.
Of course, maybe I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and I won't say that I see that he's completely healed. I think he has a long way yet to go, because there are a lot of behavior changes that have to take place. Like, for instance, he has to be a little more assertive. He shies away from, things that are difficult still. And any sort of crisis that comes up, he finds it difficult to cope with. At one stage he said, I have no friends. And then the father said, you are discounting the fact that your girlfriend is there with you and that we are there. I mean, yes, maybe the others are not there. See, he doesn't see anybody else's point of view. Everybody has to have, he has to be the center of everybody's life. Those whom he thinks are his friends. And so he had lots of complaints about various friends. So then the father brought him back to focus and said, but what about your girlfriend who has remained so loyal to you? And the two of us, you see. And the girlfriend reported back the next day and said, that calmed him a lot. And as a result, he sort of went back to normal, which is what was not happening earlier. So incidents here.
So, what do you say that to the public or the families who are suffering with a person with schizophrenia? What do you suggest them? Okay, what do you suggest them as knowing all this experience?
Well, something that you can deal with the right type of professional help, and psychiatric care and counseling. It's something that you can deal with. It's manageable. There are the right type of drugs. Jatin has gone through various types of drugs, and that in fact was part of the problem before he came to Catabounce, because the two drugs that were given to him by the psychiatrist earlier had very bad side effects. And the second one particularly, it was heartbreaking because he had a muscular disorder. It was called tardive dyskinesia. And he could not sit and do anything. He could not sit and eat. He could not sit and type. So he was doing his work at that time.
Couldn't use a scooter because he had to sit and type.
And so all that also, prejudiced him against doctors, psychiatrists, hospitals, and all that. So therefore, it was a great thing that in Catabounce, all that was set right. And now he really sees that, doctors are not out there only to delude you or to, cheat you in any way, but they can help you in a very positive way.